welcome into another Whoosh Wednesday here with me, Louie. This week I kind of going to discuss a few different things. One of them is another recent small trip I had over to the Paper Asylum in Beverly, Massachusetts. What did I pick up from there? Well, we'll see. And then the other is a big announcement from Marvel and DC that they are reprinting their crossovers in a massive, massive omnibus. That comes out about this August. So, before we jump into either of those topics, let's go over some housekeeping stuff. Like, if you're enjoying the content, remember to comment and like the video, and subscribe to the channel overall. It really helps YouTube kind of find other people who may be interested in the content as well. So, with that, let's jump into what did I pick up from the Paper Asylum this week. Well, I picked up a few things. One, started getting into playing some Magic, so I picked up one pack of Magic cards. We're not going to go over that here, though. But comic related things I did pick up were a mystery grab bag that they had, because I've shown you one from Newbury before, from Newbury Comics, and another is a big book. So I thought, hey, let's go over this bag of mystery comics I purchased this time. And they have some really, really cool themes on them. I don't know if you can see this one. Is Do You Like the MCU? They had some other really, really funny ones. So I'm interested to see what is in these. The staff there works really hard to put them together, and they get really, really creative with the titles. So definitely check them out and enjoy the laughs from some of the titles as well. But let's jump in and see what we have. First up, let's see. We have Marvel Snapshot Submariner #1. Really cool cover. I actually don't know much about this one, so I'm interested to check it out. Looks like, yeah, seems pretty cool. Now, my question is, and I'm going to check this while we're here, is it looks like it's new material. I could be wrong, but it does look like newer material, but the art style feels very like old school in it, which is cool. So I don't know. I'll have to check it out and see what the deal is with it, but that's a really cool one. And of course, Namor did appear in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, so definitely connects back to the MCU that way. That's really cool. Next up is Star-Lord Annual #1. Clearly Star-Lord MCU. We have him all over the MCU with the Guardians and everything. This one looks like, so that one I believe came out around 2020 or 2021, and this book seems to have come out in 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. So pretty wide variety of years and ages on books, but pretty cool so far. If you want to get an introduction into the MCU, those are some pretty good books. Both of them cover priced at $4.99 when they came out. The overall price of the bag was only $8, so just the cover prices on those alone kind of make up for it. They're already at $10, so pretty good value already there. Let's see. Next up is Doctor Strange, Surgeon Supreme #1. Mark Waid, Kev Walker, and Java Tagalia, I believe. And again, this one's about 2019, 2020-ish release. So cool to see. I think I have this one already. Sometimes you get so many comics it's hard to remember, but yeah, pretty cool cover too. Like, you can see like him trying to balance the two worlds and stuff like that, so that's pretty dope. Next up we have Marvel Legends Black Panther #1. Really cool cover there. Yeah, this one released in, I believe, 21 or 22, so on the newer side, but obviously, like I said, Black Panther definitely in the in the MCU. So another really cool book. So far, I'm really enjoying these. These look like they'll be some really, really fun reads. And our final book in this grab bag is Captain Marvel Annual #1 Variant Edition. It's a really, really cool variant, actually. I really, really like that one. Yeah, pretty dope, actually. This one seems like it came out around 2022-ish. So yeah, it definitely connects back to the MCU. Clearly, Captain Marvel is in there. So definitely a cool grab bag if you're looking to pick up some books on characters MCU you may not be as familiar with. I will say all of those books seem to be on the bigger side of Marvel books, so you definitely get your value back in reading material. It'll definitely help teach you some things about those characters if you're not as familiar with them. And there's a good range on the characters from Doctor Strange to Namor, Captain Marvel, um, Black Panther, like you name it, you kind of have a pretty good scope of the people in there. So really, really cool. Um, Definitely kind of glad I picked that up. I'm going to be reading all of those as I can. So I mentioned I picked up a big book. Well, I did. It's a book I've wanted for a while, and with my birthday coming up, I thought, well, I've never seen one this nice in a local shop. I've rarely seen one this nice at Comic Cons. Um, I love supporting the Paper Asylum. I love supporting my local shops in general. Because I think I've mentioned this before, they are kind of the lifeblood of the industry. Without those shops, it's really, really hard to get your weekly books or to have a good community to go and talk to other people about your interests and stuff like that. So genuinely love supporting the local shops when I can. The Paper Asylum, every time I go in there, it's the nicest place to go into. Always a warm welcome. So I like to support them when I go in there. Now, that being said, I saw this book and I was like, oh no, I'm going to buy something that I was not planning to. And oh no, not in a bad way, but in like okay, I wasn't planning to come in here and buy this or spend this amount of money, but like I said, it's the nicest copy I've seen. They rated it at being about a 9.4, which awesome. But it is Iron Man 118, and if you are familiar with this book, you'll know that it is the first appearance of James Rhodes in comics. That's right, Rhodey's first appearance is in this book, and awesome. Absolutely love it. I also love this cover because there's a helicarrier up here, like an old school looking shield helicarrier, which is great. You have Iron Man's whole armor in a suitcase, which is also awesome, and I'm super, super stoked. And like I said, this is a clean copy of this book. I am so pumped. I will be probably submitting this for grading at some point in the future, because this is definitely going to be up on my wall. Very, very stoked. So, part of the reason I picked up that book is I absolutely loved the Iron Man animated series as a kid. That show to me was what got me to love superheroes as much as I did. And then obviously from there I transitioned to X-Men, the animated series, Spider-Man, the animated series, dabbled with Fantastic Four, love Batman Beyond, Static Shock, so all of those. But Iron Man is really the superhero show that got me into it first. Why? Because he had a solution for any problem. He would go into his Hall of Armor, and there'd be an armor to go into a volcano. There'd be an armor to go into space. There'd be an armor to dive into the ocean. There'd be an armor to go to a nuclear reactor. Like, he had everything. And I thought that Hall of Armor was the coolest thing I could have ever seen as a kid. I was blown away by that. So I became like infatuated with Iron Man and the ability to build those armors and all of that. And I love Iron Man. To this day, Iron Man is probably my number 2 favorite superhero. And I say that after gushing all the love and support for the animated series. My number 1 is Spider-Man. Mostly because I connect more to Peter Parker than I can to Tony Stark, based on Tony Stark being a rich billionaire with a bunch of money to just play around with, make a bunch of toys with. Whereas Peter is like this grounded, level-headed person who, even when he's on the Avengers, he's like, I'm not going to tell you my identity. That still isn't safe for my family. So, like, he's just this person who tries his best, somehow manages to pick himself back up when things go wrong. But that's not the point of this whole story. I love this issue. Really, really stoked to have it. And I cannot thank the Paper Asylum enough for being super amazing about helping me buy this book, because honestly, they took it down, they looked at it, and they went, don't worry about the price, we're going to look it up again, because that price is an older price. It's definitely probably gone down since then, so let's take a look and see what we can do. And I didn't have to negotiate at all on it. They looked it up, they did the work themselves, and they were like, okay, that's not a fair price for this. Like, let's bring it back down and to the current prices. And I was like, okay, cool. Absolutely love their customer service there. And like I said, always a warm welcome when I go in there. So definitely, if you're in the Beverly, Mass area, make sure you check out the Paper Asylum. They have comics, they have Dungeons and Dragons, they have Magic, they have other gaming supplies you might need, like Pokemon stuff. So just go check them out and support them, and make sure you support whatever local shop is in your area too, if you can. They're just amazing, and the work that the owners and the employees put in at those shops cannot be overstated. So definitely check those out. But speaking of ways to support your local shop, Marvel and DC announced they are reprinting some of their earlier crossovers, and by some I mean I believe almost all of them. And it's the Marvel versus DC storylines we're getting. So we'll get the original crossover with Superman and Spider-Man. We'll get the new Teen Titans versus the X-Men. You'll get Punisher and Batman teaming up. You'll get the entire Marvel versus DC run that they did later on. I don't believe there's any Amalgam comics in there, which if anyone's familiar with that, they literally merged characters together. So you got like Iron Lantern, which was Iron Man, and Green Lantern merged into one. Batman got one, and I can't remember what it was right now off the top of my head. But there are some crazy comics in like the 90s that they tried to do to bring some interest back to both companies, which is cool. But they're reprinting it's this massive omnibus that comes out, I believe, August 6th, 2024. It's 960 pages according to Amazon.com. Amazon has it for about $150. You might be able to get it through your local comic shop, maybe around the same price, maybe a little bit less. If you have that option and you want to guarantee you get a copy, go to your local comic shop, ask them to pre-order it for you. You may have to put a deposit down, you may not have to put a deposit down. It depends on how the shop runs, but that is the best way I can think of to guarantee a copy of that book. And I don't know how often they will do these reprints going forward. I know it's a hefty price tag. I believe it's been a while, since at least the early 2000s, since they've reprinted these stories. And this is the first time, outside of an exception they made when George Perez was passing away, they reprinted the JLA Avengers crossover that they did. And that went to charity to try to help raise causes for a charity that George Perez really believed in. So that's the last time they really collaborated. But that was like a special outside the box occasion. This is them coming together to just reprint these stories, which is massive. But for context sake, that JLA Avengers reprint I saw at some points was going for over 150 to 175 for just that story, and I don't even believe it's half the size of this omnibus. That might be around 150. So if you're interested in reading those stories, you want to check them out, I recommend picking up this omnibus. The page quality is supposed to be amazing. The art is supposed to be really good. They're asking the artists if they have any of the original artwork for scans of it, so that way they can get higher resolution, better quality scans to put into the omnibus. So hopefully all of that equates to an amazing product, and I'm really hoping it does. And then hopefully maybe this is the start of a relationship where we get to see more crossovers in the future. Hard to do, I know, because everybody wants to protect their characters, their intellectual properties, and so on. But it's cool to see them at least being able to bridge that kind of divide and give us comic book fans back something as cool as it is to see DC and Marvel crossing over. So very stoked for that. So make sure you keep an eye out around August for it. Maybe they'll release a digital copy on like Google Play Store or the Kindle Store. Who knows? I haven't seen anything on that front yet, so it might just be the omnibus. But I think that's something really cool. And like I said, if you can, go down to your local comic shop, ask them to reserve it for you, so you make sure you get a copy. They'll know if they order it, it's sold. They don't have to sit on a $150 book and worry about it. So it benefits them and it benefits you. So with that, that's it for us here this Wednesday at Whoosh. We'll catch you here next time. And thanks for tuning in.